In 2023, Vivek Ramaswamy took to the political scene, but it took it by storm when he announced his campaign for president. Now, Ramaswamy gearing up to get back on the campaign trail. He is expected to announce a run for Ohio governor in 2026. Now, some of Vice President Vance's top political advisors have already joined Ramaswamy's team. And despite not formally announcing his campaign yet, new polling, look at this. It found the Ohio native with an impressive lead over potential competitors, winning 52% of GOP voters in a hypothetical primary ballot. And his closest opponent had 18. Here with more, Vivek Ramaswamy. Okay, obvious question. You can't look at that number. You're at 52. Your closest competitor, if you want to even call it a competitor, is at 18. The next person's at 2. So I would say that your odds of being the next governor are high if you want it. Do you want it?
Look, I think that states are going to have to lead the way. It reminds me of Donald Trump-sized leads in the primaries, which encourages me, Sean. But the way I look at this is that Donald Trump is leading the way at the federal government. He's doing his job to get the federal government out of the way in areas like education. But after that, it's going to fall on the states to have to lead the way. And one of the issues, you know, I've been very focused on this, is driving the educational achievement crisis in the right direction in this country. 75% of eighth graders can't do proficient math. 70% of them aren't proficient in reading. It's going to have to be the states that lead the way here, Sean. And one of the things I'm most interested in is actually driving achievement so our kids are prepared to actually compete, not as victims, but as victors in a competitive global economy. And I'm looking forward to doing at the state level what President Trump is leading at the federal level.
One of the biggest failures, I'll stay on this topic of education. I think if you look at states that have been run for decades by Democrats, like New York, for example, New York City, deep blue state, they spend nearly 40 grand per capita per student, and they come in reading and math, you know, anywhere between 36th and 40th in terms of industrialized country. How do you fail at that spectacular level? Because we're failing our children and all the talent God put in every one of them.
It's because we've abandoned meritocracy and a culture of achievement in favor of this culture of victimhood in our country, Sean. And I think that's the number one thing we're going to have to reject to save our country is that culture of victimhood. How do we restore merit? I'll tell you this. First is, of course, universal school choice. And conservatives like you and I have been pushing for this for a long time. States like Texas are doing great. I think states like Ohio have done well, but can go further. But here's a step that we haven't taken yet that we need to, which is also improving our public schools through merit-based pay for teachers and for administrators. If students are doing a great job, those teachers and those administrators deserve to be paid more than they are now. But those who are failing our kids shouldn't be able to just sit there and keep collecting their paychecks. That's what we need, is to light a fire under the feet of that system. You got DeepSeek coming this way from China. You got students in China and other countries, in many cases lapping our own students right here at home in areas like science and math, and in some cases even in English proficiency. That's just unacceptable to me. But we're not going to sit around and just talk about it anymore, Sean. President Trump's doing a great job. Shut down the Department of Education and give that money back to the states. But after that, it's going to take creative governors who are going to have creative solutions, not just copying yesterday's models, but implementing merit-based pay, actually taking on universal school choice to the next level, including homeschooling freedom. That's how we're going to set our kids free.
Let's talk about Doge. You had partnered with Elon Musk. What is the status of your position there? Has there been any controversy, any conflict?
Actually, we were on a Spaces last night that started at midnight. Elon and I co-hosted it last night. It went till about 1:30 a.m., which shows what the around-the-clock work schedule looks like. I'm proud to play the role that I did in helping get that off the ground. And the conclusion that we all came to is that with my focus on constitutional law, on driving change through legislation, elected office was the right place from which to do it. But here's the other thing, Sean, is in order for the thinning out of the federal government to be successful, when in doubt, my advice is cut it at the federal level. And if it's a doubtful area, send it back to the states. Thinking about work requirements for Medicaid and welfare that aren't being applied, that's an issue for the states. Thinking about those educational failures, that's an issue for the states. Much of the overburdened federal regulation is duplicative of additional regulations at the state level as well. So saving this country, I think it is going to be a team effort. Donald Trump is doing his part at the best from the very top. But if we're going to save the country, it's going to be bottom up as well. That's why I'm drawn to my next chapter, and I'll have more to say about that pretty soon.
Eliminate the Department of Education. You cut every mom and dad a check. What school will they pick? The one that actually educates their kids. We'll watch this race closely.
Amen.
Vivek Ramaswamy, thank you.